What's up, everyone? It's Q from Retro Q Gaming, and this video it's a nice reminder, basically, because I was just playing Mario Kart 8 and the new DLC that came out yesterday. I didn't get a chance to play it yesterday, so got around to downloading and playing it this morning. So, with all the issues going around with graphics and resolution and frame rate, all that bullshit going on current gen consoles and PC, it makes you forget that that stuff doesn't matter as much as you probably remember, or you probably think nowadays anyway, at least because of all the bullshit you see everywhere. So the main reason I'm saying this is because last time I played Mario Kart 8, I wasn't making videos at all, but I remember it being a nice looking game. I turned it on again today, started playing it, and it still looks great. I mean, it's a great looking game, and this is on the Wii U, the Wii U, the console that many consider not even to be 8th generation, or if you do consider it to be 8th generation, it would be the bottom end of 8th generation. But it's a console that on paper is more powerful than the 7th generation consoles, but depending on what's going on the console, it could be bottlenecked and sometimes perform worse than some of the 7th gen consoles in certain situations. But all that fact aside, Mario Kart 8 is a 720p game running at 60 frames per second on the Wii U, and it looks incredible. It still looks just incredible. Now, yes, there is one or two small issues with it, if you will. There's a noticeable lack of any type of anti-aliasing. It shows straight away. You kind of lose the perspective of it. I mean, you don't really notice it too often, at least during the race, because you're concentrating on other stuff. But you can see it in a lot of the static scenes, or yes, you can see it sometimes in the races itself, because you'll notice it in the distance, or as you're turning a corner, or you'll look at your character in a certain way and you'll see it. But it shows that all the stuff that they have, that Nintendo have in Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U, actually, they're working within their limits. I mean, you have all these other developers nowadays and publishers which are just forcing out games with the highest possible settings, and gameplay be damned, story be damned. They're just doing it just to say, it's like, look what we can do. And what's the result of that? 900p games, 720p games, 1080p games that hover between 20 and 25 FPS, all for the sake of cranking up the stuff to as high as possible on the 8th generation consoles, which at this point I'm pretty sure we can all agree are, if we don't want to call them underpowered, but they're all being abused by developers and publishers, because it's a bit ridiculous what they do. But when you look at a game like Mario Kart 8 and what Nintendo have done with it, it's a 720p game on a 1080p console, so yes, it is a 1080p capable console, but they specifically made the game 720p, and for the simple reason of the fluidity of the frame rate, which is the 60 FPS, and because they said, okay, well, we have this hardware, to get 60 frames per second, we'll go 720p. Let's see what we can do with as much as possible while keeping it 60 frames per second in the 720p resolution. And what they got out of it, because they actually worked within their limitations, which fucking no one else does these days, they got a really good looking game out of it. And it's highly enjoyable to look at. Between all the colors, the style, it doesn't even look like a 720p game. They've put that much work and that much attention and detail into it. Okay, fair enough, they did remove any sort of anti-aliasing in it, but at the same time, you're still getting a really, really good looking game and a really good looking image quality out of it because of the quality that they did put in the terms of the specific effects that they use in it, and just the quality of the textures and the techniques they use just to make it look even better while maintaining the frame rate they wanted at the resolution they wanted. It just looks great. For example, in the new Animal Crossing DLC, which I was playing this morning, the first race in the second new cup, which I believe is the Bell Cup, I think it was the Bell Cup, you start in an outside race and it's raining, so there's nice rain effects as the rain is falling. There's rain effects on the screen, there's rain effects on the road that you're actually racing on, and then at one point you go inside a little small passageway. Obviously you can only see the rain outside at that point. Your light comes on your bike or car, and you've got shadow effects, all that shit going on. It looks good, despite being what a lot of people would think is, oh, it's a 720p game, fuck that. That doesn't matter. Once it's done right, that doesn't matter. And I've always usually stuck to graphics don't make a game, but they can break a game. Now, that's usually in extreme circumstances. I mean, you can have a really, really good looking game with absolute dire gameplay, and it will still be what most consider a bad game. But you could have a game that would play really good and looks to have a really good story, but the graphics could be so appallingly bad based on what's available at the time of release, and some people can't play it. I know personally the reason why I bring this up is a couple of years back when The Last Story released on the Wii. I was looking forward to The Last Story. Looked like it was going to be a really good game, like a lot of really good systems, really good story, really good gameplay. And I turned it on, and because this was on the Wii, it was a standard def game, even though I was playing in 480p at the time, but still. I mean, the issue with it was that the graphics on The Last Story are actually so bad for a game that came out, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago. I don't remember when it came out exactly, but for a game that came out that recent to look like a game that was like a high-end PS1 game, and it didn't even look as good as a low-end PS2 game. It actually looked as good as a high-end PS1 game. That's how bad, and that just completely crushed it for me. So now, usually, that kind of thing doesn't usually happen to me, but in this specific case it did. I know a couple of other people who, off the top of my head, I don't remember the games in specific that they were talking about, but some of them have been really psyched and really looking forward to playing a game, and then it just completely killed it for the graphics. Actually, so now that I think about it, one of them is a friend of mine had that issue with Zelda Twilight Princess on the Wii. We've seen the GameCube version of it. The GameCube version actually looks better, believe it or not, than the Wii version. And that game has, the Wii version at least is completely ruined for him. He can't play that and he can't enjoy it. And he wants to get the GameCube version, but it's a bit expensive, and he has a hard problem trying to justify it most of the time. Not because of money issues or anything, but it's just the prices he sees it around for. He has a hard time justifying it. So that's understandable, and I feel that the reason I made this video is because I kind of forgot about where I stood exactly on this. I mean, I always knew that graphics, like I said a minute ago, graphics don't make a game. Graphics can break a game in extreme cases, and with the whole thing going around with the resolution issues, the FPS issues, graphic parity on consoles, be it PC ports and all that kind of shit, that I usually play games, lately at least anyway, that are just so retro in the sense that they'll be like PS1 games or PS2 games or Super Nintendo games or handheld games, that they will be so retro that graphics and all that kind of stuff doesn't apply to them. Or I'll be playing new games, which will be all, I won't say cutting edge, but they'll be Xbox One, PS4, they'll be current gen stuff, or obviously PC games with, you know, they're millions of great graphical settings. So lately it's been one extreme to the other. I haven't really been playing anything, at least, that I would classify as modern gaming middle ground. And it was nice to turn on the Wii U again today and see that middle ground and see how a developer can get it right. And yeah, because Nintendo is a developer at the same time as a hardware manufacturer, so it's nice to see them get something so right. And because I've been away from the middle ground for so long, it just slipped my mind where it was, and I kind of just forgot, if you will. But it's really refreshing, and that is why I made this video. So that's pretty much it. I mean, I can just leave it there and say, you know, the graphics resolution issues, they're not the be all and end all, because as Nintendo have proved, you don't need all that crazy stuff. At least not to make a good looking game. Now, to make a successful console or something, that's a whole different story. To make a successful franchise, blah blah blah, that's a whole different story. But you don't need all that kind of stuff to make a good looking game. It's a widely popular opinion with Mario Kart. It's also a really popular opinion with the Super Mario 3D World, which I believe is the Wii U one. I can't remember. I played it when it came out. I have it upstairs. But you know, it's the same thing with that. It's a really good looking game. It didn't push the envelope, but they worked in with what they had. They worked within the limits of what they had, and it really, really showed in a completely positive way, despite being under very harsh scrutiny because of all the hardware shit and tech spec shit going on nowadays. So let me know in the comment section below any thoughts you have on the whole graphics, frame rate, resolution, post-processing effects, rendering effects, any of that kind of stuff. Not just to do with Mario Kart, not just to do with new consoles and new games, or not just to do PC games, PC settings, anything like that. Just any in general about if it's how you look at them, what you think developers should do, and any of the way they've affected any games you have or haven't played because of them. So hit up the comment section below. I'm not repeating that entire thing. So let me know any of that kind of stuff in the comments below. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, follow me on Twitter. Thank you for watching this unintentionally longer video, and I will see you on the rest of the videos in my channel.